Hello everybody, this is Phil Pack and you are watching the second installment of my COVID nightmare. I am a 72-year-old retired science teacher and my nightmare began on April 16th, 2024, and so far I've spoken up to May 7th, 2024, and that's kind of where we're starting this episode. I was living an active retirement life, married for 43 years, 2 kids, one's a surgeon, one's an engineer, 2 grandkids that are absolutely the joy of my life. I'm active, was active, skied, ice skated, walked, gardened, and then this happened. So let's get right to May 7th. I'm in a hospital. I've been there for 5 days. Haven't had a bath. I'm starting to smell. And I've been approved to go to a long-term residential rehab facility. So I wanted to go there clean and not appear like a dirty old man and smelly. And I guess they didn't want to send me there either that way. And I didn't want a sponge bath. I wanted a shower. So I was given 2 options. Option number 1 is to have some burly guy from maintenance or somewhere in the building come up with basically a hand truck and transfer me to a hand truck because I can't bend. I can't, I have to be horizontal. Strap me up naked and then wheel me into the shower room and have somebody wash me up and then wheel me back to my bed, a la Hannibal Lecter style. And that suggestion was immediately rejected. Just the thought of it could make me cry. But the other suggestion was that 2 nurses or a nurse and an aide or 2 people could attempt to get me to stand, to see if they could get me out of bed and with support to stand, and then they could walk me into the shower and somebody could wash me. And I didn't like that idea either, because taking a shower with 2 young nurses might be very appealing. Might have been very appealing at one point in my life, but now it was just embarrassing. And the fact that they would be getting wet, their clothes on, they're just, and who wants to look at a 72-year-old man naked? Both choices were unappealing, but I opted for trying to get out of bed with their help and going into the shower, which took a while, was very painful, but in the end, it felt good to be finally clean and have my hair shampooed. And after that feat was accomplished, I simply waited in bed for the ambulance to transfer me to the physical rehabilitation center, which was only about a 15-minute drive. So things get delayed. Things always seem to be delayed. Things always seem to happen the next day and not the day you want, but they ended up coming close to 6 o'clock, 5:30, and 2 of the most wonderful men I met along this journey talked to me, made me feel good about myself, gingerly handled me like I was a China doll, and painlessly got me on to the stretcher because I couldn't bend, couldn't sit, and kept me in very pleasant conversation until they delivered me to this facility. And I felt they were brothers from another mother in 15 minutes, and I really appreciated Dave and Steve. But things quickly changed once I got here. something I guess if I knew about it, it wouldn't have bothered me so much. But when you get admitted to a facility, they strip you naked and paw over you, asking you to spread your legs and check your genitals and roll you over and check for bed sores and bruises, injuries. And I just didn't expect that. And when it started happening, I was just kind of stunned, and it hurt too. And I thought to myself, there's probably old people getting abused and nobody knows about it. And maybe a facility doing this could identify them and get them help. And I'm coming in and that's their policy, and it's just what I have to endure. So I just went to my happy place and thought of my grandkids and held my emotions together as I did everything I was asked to do. And then got clothes on, got me in bed, and I was exhausted. And at some point I had a call from my son, who's a general surgeon, and kind of made me feel bad when I got off the phone, because I was thinking I had done something, letting him do this to me, possibly help some other older person. And he said, Dad, he said, they didn't do that to protect you. They did that to protect themselves from litigation, that if you had a bed sore and it got worse and you sued them, they would probably lose and have to pay. So this way they have verification that what kinds of injuries you came in with, and the whole thing was about protecting the business. And that kind of bummed me out and made me almost upset. But then I thought about it, and rationally, a business has to protect itself from litigation, and it made sense that, somebody came in with something and they got blamed and they would lose money. So I kind of got at peace with that, but it was a little traumatic. And but anyway, it was done. I was exhausted. Phone calls from people, visitations from people, the social worker, the nurse manager on the phone, and I went to sleep pretty early and had a decent night. Woke up a couple times with pain, and that brings us to May 8th. Now, in the interim, I had blood work, poked, pills, whatever, and given to me, and I was in quite a bit of pain. And the occupational therapist was trying to get me to do whatever I could do. I had an evaluation in the hospital, and he was trying to see if I could do some exercise with my sore leg, and I could only lift it an inch. And rather than saying, oh, brother, he said, that's great. We'll start with an inch, and then we'll work with 2 inches. And that's kind of the attitude that the occupational therapist had here. And her name was Mary, and she was phenomenally encouraging and wanted me to get up and get out of bed on my feet. And I was like, that's not happening. It isn't going to happen. I hurt, but with some help and encouragement, she got me to standing up and holding onto a walker with quite a bit of pain. I was probably on a 1 to 10 of 4, but you can't get better laying in bed. So I hobble around in pain, and being she's an occupational therapist, she said, how about we'll try out the toilet? And so we hobbled into the bathroom together, and I looked at the toilet and said, there's no way I could bend. And I started to bend. The pain went up to a 6, and I just was like, not happening. So she gets me back in bed and talks about getting a device, a higher toilet seat. And it's much higher. She said, you might sit in it. So got it, set it up. We tried again. That was not happening either. So I'm still a little, the camera's shaking for a couple of reasons. One, I have an essential tremor. And, oh, brother. But my arm is tired. So at any rate, she was encouraging, she was inspirational. There are some issues that she had to work out. I can't sit up to eat. If I try, the pain is excruciating and I don't want to eat. So I was just having a plate put on my chest and picking up little bits of food and feeding myself like a bird. And they were very unhappy with that because of choking. So everybody would come and try to tweak the head of the bed up, and it was just every degree hurt. So I would, they would leave and I would just put it flat and go back to doing this. And it was just a reminder of how bad I am. But I love Mary, she was good. Then the PT guy came and I just can't remember his name. I'll have to interject it at a later date. I want to say Neil, but I'll get his name. But he was also great. Same thing. Move your leg an inch, that's fine. 2, we're going to work. So he did some manipulations, and I worked through the pain, and some of the things felt better after I did it, stretching, mostly stretching, bending things. But he had to do the flexing and bending. And then he pulled on my sore leg with his hands, and the pain dropped like instantly 2 levels. And I was like, could you stand here all day and just hold my leg, or maybe get a traction thing and hang me from the ceiling like a frickin', bat? And I can't believe how much better I felt with just that manipulation. At any rate, morning came, morning went. I'm tired, and it's the 7th, and I eat 2 meals. The food was great. I ate it my way, and if they cranked me up, I just pretended, until they left, and boom, went back down. Did the choke wrist just because upright it hurt too much to eat. So either way, that's not good. So, okay, I got to be alert here. So nighttime comes, and I look up at a sprinkler in the ceiling, and the ceiling around it is like plasticized, and something is stretching the hole to make it bigger and bigger. And finally, a head of an old man with a big long beard, and believe me, he wasn't Santa Claus. It was scary looking. And he's trying to force his head out of the ceiling, but the opening is not big enough, and he's trying to open it. And finally, his head pops through, and he's got like a 2 or 3 foot long skinny neck that the head is wiggling around on, and he's looking at me. And it's the first time that a hallucination was frightening, and I didn't like it. But I'm in my right mind. I know what it is. I know it's not there. So I made fun of him. I said stuff to him, nice neck, and closed my eyes to not see him. And then something really freaky happened. I felt somebody tug my toe, like somebody just grabbed my big toe and tugged it. And that bolted me, wide awake and looking down at my foot, and there's nothing there. But I got my phone out and I'm Googling hallucinations and discover that yes, you can have touching components, and that freaked me out a lot. And then later that night, while I was asleep, I had felt a sensation of somebody running a finger across my lower lip, and that jolted me awake. I was in a bit of a worry, and again I looked at the guy, and he's wiggling around there, and I'm trying to ignore him, but I tell the nurse, and all the pain medications stop, and I'm given Tylenol because they're concerned that other bad things could happen. But now I don't have my pain under control, and Tylenol isn't really doing anything, and the pain goes up. Every little thing, it's shooting up to an 8, 9, and when it gets up there, I just cry, and it's awful. So that's on that day. It was May 8th. May 9th, my friend comes back that night, and not only is he more wiggly, but I can't sleep because I'm in pain, so I'm looking at him a lot more. And the next 5 days, I have Tylenol, which is allowing me if I fall asleep, I make it to 2:30 or 3, and then I'm in agony, asking for help, asking for pills, asking for ice packs, asking for somebody to do something to take away the pain, which is getting, it's like getting dental work without any anesthetic. It's somebody stabbing me in the back, and I am beside myself. I just don't know what to do, and it was horrible. And the nurse practitioner came to visit and gave me extra strength Tylenol, but said that they're just concerned about what the other medicines can do, and would I succumb? Would I be frightened? Would I go out of bed and fall, hurt myself, break a hip? And so they decided that this was the best to try it for a day or two. But every day that went by, the pain got worse and worse, and I was in agony. And then finally, the 5th day, let's figure this one out. So if I came here on the 7th, 8th, 9th, so 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th. I guess on the 14th, she decides to add Lyrica to calm my nerve pain, but I didn't get it because it came too late to the pharmacy and yada, yada, yada. So that last night again was horrible. 10, wiggling around, crying, yelling, in terrible pain. So the decision is made to send me back to the hospital and see what they could do. It was those 5 days on Tylenol were a nightmare. I call that my time in hell. It was hell. My wife was more and more upset every day. And time goes slow when you're just, not just laying here. And PT came, and it gave me some stretches to do to help ease the pain at night. I did meditation. I did put music on, relaxation techniques, and they all helped a little bit, but the pain was horrible. So getting back to May 14th now. It's, I've been here a while. Ambulance comes, takes me back to the hospital, and they started treating me with the more heavy-duty stuff, better than Tylenol, like Valium and Lyrica, and very good care. Einstein, Montgomery, it's my go-to hospital. And this particular time, the doctor was so compassionate and just said, we're going to get you whatever you need, whatever you want. And there was discussion of me getting injections in my spine or around there, but they couldn't do them until I had imaging. But imaging is a bigger deal when you're in a subacute facility than you're in a hospital, because they don't have that stuff. So me being, and this kills me to say, a bedridden person, and you have to meet 3 criteria to be classified as bedridden. And it just killed me to look at a form with my name on it and have me described as bedridden. So again, that's another problem, because now you need a special ambulance because you're on a gurney. And at any rate, so the hospital guy ordered an MRI of my lower back, which I needed before I could see the pain management guy and get injections. So that got done at least. But the ambulance, whatever, was busy, so I had to wait two hours or more on the gurney there until the ambulance came and got me and brought me here. And I guess it was around 6 o'clock on that night, on the 14th of May. And the good news, there was no, after I was weaned off that other medicine, the guy with the big neck was no longer visiting me, and I've had no hallucinations since that time. And my time is filled here with FaceTime calls with my sister and best friend, and other people, and it's exhausting. I'm just, sometimes I feel good. The pain level drops to 2, and I'm like, I'm going to get up, and I'm going to, so PT's been working, and now I made a big breakthrough by being able to sit up for 3 minutes on the side of my bed and eat, so I don't have to eat like this. And then that got stretched to 7, so I made 7 minutes where I could sit. And I was so happy about that, but then I thought how pathetic that was. And another goal I have set, I'll give you a look. I don't know if you can see that wheelchair over there, but that's my goal, to be able to sit in a wheelchair. It just kind of to think that I'm so bad that that's a goal to get to be able to sit. So my wife came to visit, and I said, you can help me. I want to sit. I want to be able to sit. So try to sit in the wheelchair. It just, the moment my tuchus hit the seat, the pain shot up to like an 8, and I screamed, and she helped me up, and I hobbled back in bed and rolled around for a while. And once I'm horizontal, the pain usually goes down, and it did. And it goes down quick, a minute, and it's like, okay. But I felt like a loser that here, that's not happening. The old geezer can't even sit in a wheelchair, which in a place like this causes problems, because now you can't go to the gym and do PT. They have to do here in bed and with limited stuff, and I'm bummed out by that. But I've had wonderful people come here, wonderful people, and I made some headways. But it's draining me, and I have to fight the bad thoughts that come into my head at night, and the questioning of how long it's going to be. And my son called and told me a similar story of somebody he works with who had COVID and developed in his arm, I guess, the brachial nerve, horrible, horrible pain that stopped him from working. And he went through some unorthodox procedures to fix himself. But unfortunately, they're certainly not going to be available to me and here. So I got kind of down. My grandson, my 6-year-old grandson, came to visit and looked out the window and saw a Christmas tree. And he asked if, when Christmas time comes, could he and I decorate the tree? And this is May, you know. So I thought to myself, you know, if I'm decorating that Christmas tree in December, there's going to be something hanging on that tree other than ornaments, and that's something's going to be me. But of course I didn't say that to him. But and they went to a little lounge area with some help, and I couldn't sit with them. I just kind of propped myself up for a minute with the walker and leaned against the wall, and with some help. And they opened, of course, we're talking about 2 and 6, so they're looking around, looking out the windows, pulling the drawers, and they find an old pack of open cookies that God knows how long they've been there. And of course, to them, it was like, yay, we're getting a snack. My daughter quickly was able to stop them before the cookies went in their mouths. But then they saw the wheelchair, and I, suggested that maybe they would like a ride. And so my daughter took them for a little ride, and my grandson held up both his hands like you do on a roller coaster. And the 2-year-old was squealing with delight, and that kind of it was a great visit. It just lightened my spirits. But by and large, I kept everybody away. I was like, no visits. It's far away. My son wanted to come from Arkansas. He had just finished like a bunch of on-calls, and getting here from where he is like horrendous. There's no direct flights. There's hours of driving on either end, and I even kind of lied, and with the help of some nurses, I got a video to him of me standing and smiling and saying, I'm walking, I'm doing good, I'm so improved, don't waste your time, and quickly collapsed when that was done and got back into bed. So I feel a little bad about tricking him, but I know he's stubborn as a mule, like his mother, and I take that back, but he's stubborn, and he would come, and I didn't want him to risk being fatigued and doing all that traveling. So today, with the medication that was given, ordered by the hospital with the doctor there, who was wonderful, my pain level is down, way down to like a 2, which I can tolerate. And according to the chart, it's considered mild pain. And if I move, it goes up to a 4, which is considered moderate pain. But for most of today, I've just laid low. I'll talk to you in a minute.